Thank you so much for being here. Can I be a little sappy just for a second?
Please.
Mind if I just become a big softie? One of the things that I love about teaching here, and by here I mean Webster University, but I mean here, okay, in this building, this little brick factory where lines and sentences are made. I love the way we support each other. I love the way we stand up for each other and look out for each other and take care of each other, and pick each other up, and push each other and hold each other accountable. And this is kind of what I mean by this, supporting each other tonight with this crowd is wonderful. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a hand. Tonight, we're here to do a lot of that, all right? And we're going to hear from some wonderful readers. And the first person I want you to do that again for is our MC for the evening, creative writing major, junior, Ellen Trone.
Thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's my pleasure to actually host this event. So I would like to give a warm welcome to all of the audience in this room tonight, to the respected professors, the incredible parents, the amazing students, and most importantly, our rights reader tonight. So I would like to also to thank Miss Karen who helping me to organize the event, and thanks Professor Murray for being my mentor, and thanks Logan for helping us to record this wonderful moment tonight. We will have 3 readers, and they will present a selection of poetry, fiction, and non-fiction. So there's a fun part between readers that we will do the lucky draw. So please remember to keep your ticket number. We will come back with that, and who will be the lucky one to get some lovely gift today. So bear with me later. And starting with the first reader, now we have Riley Fremeyer. A bit of some information about Riley. So Riley was born in St. Louis, Missouri. Riley is currently a senior at Webster University, Webster Crew campus. She's a creative writing major and has taken several film, television, and video production courses throughout her time in school. Riley is currently the treasurer of Webster Writers Coalition Club and a staff editor for the 2022-2023 school year edition of Webster magazine, The Greenfields. Riley is also a writing coach at Academic Resource Center, working with local and international undergrads and graduate students on some projects ranging from literature to scientific research paper. Riley primarily enjoys writing longer works of fiction and has a great passion for sci-fi, but poetry also has a special place in her heart. So after graduating, Riley will continue to hone in on her craft of writing, and her dream is to work in a position where she can collaborate with other writers. So again, please give some big applause for our first writer, Riley.
How are you guys doing tonight? All right, thank you so much for showing up. It's lovely to see all of you. I see some classmates and my grandma. Thank you. All right, so tonight I will be reading a short story I wrote. And there's no microphone, so prepare yourselves if I shout at you. So. Okay. Old Sweet Gum Sycamore Street. You can't even begin to understand me, she said, until you've been decked in the face by military personnel. Renette claimed that the girl group, the Renettes, got their name from her. We doubted it, but most everyone let it settle, since they were equally as badass. You best not take any wrong turns, Renette insisted. They may be your last. There was little room for error, down past Battlefield, Missouri. And it was no different anywhere else. Growing up in the southern Midwest means you grow up on guard. Burnett was no exception. There was little room in her house, and just a little bit less in her heart. Nan, Quinn, my little brother, and I used to stay nights at her house. We would watch reruns of MASH in her ugly living room, and slept on the rug that was mostly dust bunnies. We always smelt of her house the next day. Showers were a must. Nan and Quinn's mama would say, "Get back by the hose. There's no way you're stepping past my porch smell like that." Renette's house had a bizarrely sweet scented mildew, accompanied by cigarette smoke, and a strong, nausea-inducing whiff of pure vanilla extract. It was very woody, too. Not in the pine sap way, but in the way where boards are freshly sawed and the dust sticks around in your nose hairs. The sneeze that never comes. Renette was a little bit like a sneeze. Renette had only been outside of her hometown a number of times, less than the number of fingers she had on her hands. And she was already missing 3. She drove her son up to Rolla for school one time and got lost near the Fort Leonard Wood base. "You best know your place so no man with a badge has to show it to you," Renette would tell us. "Because a badge don't mean you're going to be safe and protected. It just means the fellow wearing it ain't ever going to face any consequences." She would lean in, inches from our faces, to shout her words of wisdom. I think she thought everyone could hear the same amount she could. So she'd get real close to talk with us in the same way we would with her. Renette would pop our eardrums with each ounce of spittle on every odd word. You could smell the acrid smoke from her pipe when she'd say, "Don't give him a reason to hold on. Don't give him a reason to polish that badge of his." We'd nod, missing the point as we wince away from her breath and the spurts of saliva between her few teeth. I'm not sure if Renette smelled like her house or if the house smelled like her. They were both old and rotting away. Renette's best friend Linda lived next door. Linda was so jolly, her Christmas-themed Halloween costume didn't even pass as a costume. Mrs. Claus visited old Sweet Gum Sycamore year-round. Her rosacea cheeks passed as the North Pole's frostbite, and her smile melted the surrounding snow. If Linda was the sun, Renette was the moon, but mostly craters. Nan used to think they were married, and I'm not so sure they weren't. We would climb the trees between their houses as high as we could, just to see how far we could fall without breaking someone. It was a game in itself to see who would come running first. Renette, threatening with a paddle to swat if we weren't hurt badly enough from our own selfish foolishness. Or Linda, near tears with Band-Aids and jelly beans. I was worried that was going to happen. Bit of a tongue twister. Or Linda, near tears with Band-Aids and jelly beans. Linda usually won. She had better knees. Nan, Quinn, my little brother, and I would follow Linda to her house, covered in scratches and tree sap and smiles, all limping in line like dumb little ducklings, with Renette behind us grumbling, her feathers thoroughly ruffled. Linda's house smelled like Carmex chapstick, fresh baked bread, old lady perfume, and dogs. She had 2 huskies when she probably shouldn't have. Huskies don't belong in Missouri. My little brother used to tell Linda, "You should send them back home to Africa." But that wasn't a solid argument, as huskies were generally raised up north. He probably meant Alaska. Willoughby and Winona were like moles. They dug so many holes in Linda's backyard, some deep enough I'm pretty sure they could have found their way back to Alaska. They likely inherited a trait that had them genetically wired to burrow themselves in several feet of snow. But their world only allowed them to bury themselves as far as the Missouri mud. We used to play in those holes, just as Willoughby and Winona did on hot summer days. We would turn on the sprinkler and fence with pool noodles, even though no one on our street had a pool. We stole them from the rec centers. It was all fun and games until Nan got knocked a little too hard by the stiffened foam. She fell halfway into a hole and got covered in not only mud, but dog shit. Huskies are considerate enough to replace some of the dirt they dig up. We laughed until she spat out a loose tooth. We laughed until we could smell her. Nan and Quinn lived further up the street. Their mama was called Big Jen. Their mama and our mama had the same name. So Big Jen was the one stuck with the non-traditional prefix since she was halfway to 7 feet tall. They had a powdery blue toilet that rattled and screeched when it flushed, and guinea pigs named King Jack and Queen Ginger that rattled and screeched twice as much. They lived in the smallest, jankiest house on the street. From the outside, it looked like one of those poorly insulated side shops that lay vacant on corner streets. For Halloween, we put out fake cobwebs to help the real ones stand out and strung up a big banner along the front of the house reading "For lease." Their kitchen looked like something out of the time period Renette and Linda were born in. Black and white checkered tiles for the floor, campy wallpaper that was covered in 4 red birds, abandoning their bronze cages that warped into barn walls. And in their kitchen, there was one cabinet, specifically for multiple mason jars of jelly beans we collected but weren't supposed to have. Like clockwork, Linda would come bearing little plastic baggies of jellies for 1, 2, 3, all 4 of us. Some nights after Big Jen hit the hay, we would hoist Quinn and my little brother up on the countertops. We would snack on them until we were hit with massive sugar crashes and what felt like fever dreams. One time, it felt like those bean-induced fever dreams lasted through the night and into the morning. Queen Ginger, the guinea pig, had been pregnant and ready to pop. She had her babies in our dreams. Usually nightmares end when you wake up, but that's when ours started. Queen Ginger was scratched badly. Her blood was already coagulated on the straw of the cage. Hours before dawn, she was not moving. King Jack, on the other hand, was fine, other than the fact he looked much larger and his eyes were black and wild. Once Queen Ginger could no longer hold the babies in her belly, King Jack decided he wanted to have a go at it. He was bloated and fit to burst from all the babies he had consumed. Big Jen grilled us, trying to find out if they're cannibalistic in nature. They never got guinea pigs again. A long while after that, it was hard to feel anything other than a shiver run down my spine upon entering their house. It was like the atmosphere was still soaked in the metallic coating of fresh blood. The sickness of King Jack's reign would forever seep from their walls, and quicksand had nothing to do with it. Quicksand lived next door to my family in the Hot Wheel house, not because Quicksand drove a cool car or anything. Honestly, I don't even know if Quicksand could drive. Me and my brother's mama said his name was actually Daniel. We liked Quicksand better. After all, that was what he insisted we call him. He painted his house neon orange one time, like a construction worker's vest, like the color of my brother's favorite toy car to play with. One night, after the sunset rippled down the creamy panels of his house, Quicksand got to work. In the morning, his house was glowing. Most people told Nan, Quinn, my brother, and I to steer clear of him. But it was kind of hard to avoid him when he would always show up on people's doorsteps, panicked after losing a pet he never had, or wondering where he could find the fun newspapers. Quicksand had a crucifix for an earring, much like George Michael's, and teeth made of rocks. All thin and gray, like the Stonehenge place Nan and I learned about in social studies class. On days we were running around, throwing ourselves from the trees, Quicksand was kind enough to come out and offer us sandwiches. It was just white bread. No innards, no preserves, not even butter, and maybe that was for the best. Looking back, I wonder if Quicksand ever learned how to turn bread into toast. But considering how often he almost burned down his house, how in the world could he manage something as simple as toast? It always smelled odd by his house, a little like cat piss, and a hospital that was too clean. A hospital so white with a scent so strong that it makes the patients dizzy. I think the only thing Quicksand knew how to cook was meth. Thanks to him, we got plenty of visits from firefighters, day or night. They greeted us with a single honk as they hurried down our street. Just one honk, for good measure. There was no use making a commotion. It was just another Tuesday. We never needed nightlights. Spirals of blue and red would decorate the walls from outside our windows. With Quicksand's crank stank cookout, Nan and Quinn's faint, bloody white aroma following behind the guinea pig ghosts, Linda's candy-coated heart and her husky sewage dugout, and Renette's smoky, mildewed, still, and statuesque life, I can't help but wonder what people smell on me. Does my brother have that same smell? Does our house? I'll need to find another one soon. Another house, a new place to call home. I asked dear friends, what would you want your house to smell like, your home? One said like strawberry plants in the windowsill that never grow moldy, and the musk of old doll heads. One said like fresh sheets, sweet orange and kitty cats. One said like citrus fruits, hazelnuts and sauteed mushrooms. One said like grandma's cookies and mossy gardens. One said like basil, patchouli and almond butter. One said like clover and grandpa's tea brewing. One said like wet wood, root beer, old books, and love. One said like lavender and the old blanket their dog used to sleep with before passing on. I don't know what I want my house to look like, or smell like, or feel like. I just know I want to find a place that is meant for me, just as I am for it. I want to belong somewhere. I guess we should all take a note from Linda's Huskies and dig that place out as it digs into us. Because it's more than a place. I think it's a feeling. Home is more than a house key away.
Are you ready? Yeah, our next reader is Anna Ringwell. Anna is from St. Louis, Missouri. She's a senior and majoring in creative writing with a minor in international relations. Highlights of her academic career include working with poet Felicia Zamora and having her poetry published in Webster Winsfield. So please welcome Anna with some applause.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody for coming tonight. So I'm going to be reading 5 poems this evening. And this first one is a sonnet. And I never really work with poetic form. And this one actually rhymes, which I don't know how I feel about. But let's figure it out together. I call it Just Peachy. When I said you're like a hummingbird, I meant you'll devour anything sweet. You didn't listen, or maybe misheard, and inhaled the last of my meat. When I said I am a peach pit, I meant all the goods gone, bare. Lonely field, plot dug, perfect place to quit. Come springtime, you left me there. When I said women are of the earth, I didn't mean I want to go back in. My unwanted burial, forced rebirth, all possibilities now begin. I could grow a big, big tree, or I could just not. I could offer up more fruits, or I could just rot. Thank you. So this next poem is published in the Green Fuse. If you want a copy, there's a lot of great stuff in there, right there. And it kind of has a sister. So this is like, this one's called Land, the next one's called Sea. You'll see. Land. Say I'm covered in vines. Say my flesh a fertile landscape. Say nature clings, breathing as I breathe, stretching with my skin. Envision me surrounded, enveloped in creation. Your love, a garden. My body, some dirt. I think the greenery suits me, brings out my eyes or something, yet I am no caretaker, no horticulturist. Thought myself an evergreen until becoming the fruit of your infatuation. How can I be engulfed and not ablazed, immersed but still hollow, loved by you and not by me? I don't know. I don't want to know. And this is its sister. It's called Sea. Once a hollowed woman, gutted clean of the long, long love, previously synonymous with home. Once a ship lost at sea. just waves of woes perpetually drifting towards some grand tragedy, drawn to wreckage by the current of a shared pulse. It was always my fault, no victim of piracy, no righteous captain sinking with her crew. Exhuming a humongous corpse would not equate to a revival. There was still a loss, despite its haunting. A sea ghost's cry declaring, "No one will love you like that again." Meant to be a threat, I guess, but thank God, thank God. So this one I wrote over the summer when it was still warm out. So I'm sorry to bring up June in the middle of November, but I'm gonna. It's the middle of June and masculinity is absent. The boys have gone south for the summer and we do not miss them. Our days are lazy, mud between toes, watching water flow. This is tan line season without hiding our tan lines. This is blanket on the roof, mason jar of cigarette butts, fireflies and morning dew, a full night's sleep between the two. This is everything we could not do after we buried our softer sides like treasure, traded our bodies for other bodies, forgot the meaning of sorority. We cut our teeth on skin, began the uphill hunt for fulfillment, or to be filled, shackled with a golden chain, cheap charm of sentiment, tried to wear rings, but they all fell off, tried to be quiet, but laughed something ugly, laughed less as a side effect. The times, they are a-changin'. Classic Midwestern humidity, these clear eyes and big bandaged hearts. We've forgotten what it's like. Loneliness, desire, waning, shaving, all of it. That femininity is synonymous with madness, bullshit. No one to tell us we're crazy, desperate, again. No reason to feel anything less than here. Thank you so much. So this is my last poem. Very rough, very new, not really revised. I'm calling it Untitled Extra for now. So here we go. I'm doing whatever the opposite of growing into my nose is. I forgot women age out of validity. I forgot I'd live to be called woman. Every day I remember when I'm expected to know my social security number off the top of my head. Since when? When I can't return the catcall into a misdemeanor threat just by announcing my age. What now? Randomly struck by the truth that I will be the same person in the same body forever, and I'm not supposed to weep on the floor about it. I'm saying what we're all always saying, I think, when we bitch and we moan, when the quick well wish turns into a 45-minute phone call, when the drive-thru forgets our ranch and we know better than to have even expected it, when we lose our insurance card and what the hell can even be done about that? When our belt buckle only ever gets caught on the door handle after the worst day of our entire lives. It's called the human experience, I believe, wondering what it's all about. And life may just be wading through muddy water, always promised a shoreline, but I'm waiting. God damn it, I'm waiting.
Welcome our last reader, Grace Smith, pronounced she, they. They are a secondary education and English major from St. Louis, Missouri. Grace is an academic strategies tutor at the Reed Academic Resource Center. So when she graduates, she plans to teach high school ELA in the Melville district. And her favorite poet is Mary Oliver. So please welcome
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for having me was really fun and silly, but my poetry is really crazy, macabre, and a little bit dark. So this first one I read. I have a little bit of religious trauma. So I read a little bit of this Bible verse that was like, women are sent into this isolation period after giving birth to a male child. And I was like, ooh, that's fucked up. So I wrote a book about it. This is called Postnatal with Male Child. She stuffs cherry pits in the hole in her stomach. She eats her sullen matrimonial dress in 3 courses, in between little cakes and tea. She hears the blessed. She hears the Blessed Virgin's cradle song. The Virgin stills the crying of Jesus, sleepless, lying in the shit-caked, rose-printed laboratory couch. Singing for his pleasure, calls upon her treasure. She tries to sing, and finds her voice isn't her own. Where is the lilied lady of her childhood, with a bundle of valley flowers in one arm and the other ready to reach inside her mouth, place a glowing pearl down her throat, and restore the life she has lost? She takes off grandma's pearls and rips the cord. She picks each pearl up off the sink, off the floor. She takes time to remember the greatest sacrifice. 85 times she relishes, feeling each pearl slip down her gullet. Suddenly the chorus gets louder. My darling, do not weep. My Jesu, sleep. She regains her smell. Saffron, lilac, frankincense, rosemary, daisies, ambergris, piss, shit, lilies, daffodils, blood, pus. She buys 2 tampons from the attendants to plug her nose. The smell is in her mouth. She sees her purse by the chainsaw and digs. She finds a mustard seed necklace beneath the condoms and pacifiers and tries to break it open with a busted kitten heel, but it just won't move. Tired after her big day, she lies down and feels a tickle in the small of her back and discovers her wedding ring hidden in the depths of the hardened pink carpet and decides to hold one more last, this time truly last, supper. She starts with the baby diamonds and moves to the middle, the heart cut, contemplating roundness. She remembers moons, trick pies filled with birds that pecked no good women's eyes out, balloons, prayers. She lies on the pink carpet with her feet up on the couch and tampons in her nose and powder puffs resting on her eyes, perfectly content, full, 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 for 9 more days. Thank you. So I was going to preface this next one by saying it's not about my mother, because it's called Dear Mother, and my mother was going to be here. Something came up, she couldn't make it, but I still am going to preface this with, it's not about my real mom. Sorry, Mom, in case she sees the video. So this is called Dear Mother. Dear Mother, I am lost in the sea of reckoning, a drop of blood in a salt pool, a dizzy address to a rosebud that falls into 6 feet of April snow. Let him marry me. Let him fill my mouth with little red fish. Let him pull my hair back, pour cocaine tea down my throat, scald me, sing un cor solo and move my jaw. Let him beat me with your lace umbrella. You bring it to Sunday breakfast with your girlfriends, kissed with my blood. Mother, you see me. This bath you left me, a glittering pink river of the divine, feminine silence, and lilac salt and snot, and clotted chunks of tissue, and a single fish that swam through my whole body. This bath you left me will be drained, will be drained, will be drained. All sins too. I leave my wrinkled skin in the tub as a present, and I travel down the drain and into the sewer, fill my mouth with Hail Marys and mud, soothe my burning throat skin, and raccoons and possums and rats, call them all my own and make them eat my rotting fishes. Mother is an undertaking. Undertaking is to take hand in hand. A slug lays down waves on my body, wraps me in warm, iridescent balm, crawls into my nose and tells me I am hers. She is my mother now. I am her daughter. So I have two that are a little bit shorter, and I'm just going to read right through both of them. And they're erasures from a Clueless party game manual. Clueless like the movie Clueless. Don't let that get you to think that they're any lighter than the first one. No apologies. How to. The youngest spins, lands, must follow instructions and hope they give up their life or death. Life or death. If I had to, would I undress? Your turn. And then this one is the last one. I wrote this based on the composition Intimate Letters. Any music majors probably know what that is and maybe know the backstory. If you don't, I'm not going to explain it. But it is in the Green Fuse, the most recent edition, which is over there, if anybody wants.
And I'll bring more of those down momentarily. The Green Fuse stash on the fireplace is a little low. We'll get that taken care of.
So, this is on death, and it's a 3-part poem. 1. We are dead. I am your Luna, unreachable and traveling towards you. When you think of me, look for glass doors, mirrors, aluminum. Use the surface to look me in your eyes. Take time to process. We will never stop moving. Interstellar travel is constant. We are lost somewhere in space, transfixed by the howling of nebulas, weakened by the celestial energy of quasars, and energized again by the sun, every day trying to swim nearer to her. I seek you too. Stars poke through the holes in my hands, so I let starlight bounce off your glass eye, from my drippy hands to an eye, into your head, to your heart, to your soul, to tell you, I do love you. When it finally wakes you, after you dust the moss off your back, look up at her from the mud all the way to the purple multiverse. She'll look down at you and send sun showers. 2. Part of me is dead. When you have to identify your young fiancé, you choke on the last of her life and spit in your mouth. Ask for 3 minutes, just 3. Kiss the bulge in her throat, pull the moss out of her hair, sweetly drain the last words out of her fingertips. Hold her up to your skin, remember. Let the white fluorescent sunbeams beat lines into her forehead. Hold her up to your skin, remember. Squeeze the last ounce of puffiness out of her. Bite her gaping stomach and watch in stoic wonder a big woman become bones. Lumps of yellow, expired, milky fat secretion leak. Get down on your knees and drink. When she looks like a rotting pumpkin on a college porch in December, you're free. Thank you, sweet Luna. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am green after the words fall from my fingertips onto the piano keys, onto his hands, onto his arms, into his pants, onto the desk on top of my braided fugue, then into the bed inside of him lying on his back. I am green, but he doesn't mind as long as I'm here. His Luna is too far gone. Am I dead to you? To my fans, I am so close to nothingness, indistinguishable between a gnat and a piece of dust. You raise your hand at me and I sink to the bathroom floor. You lower your hand and turn away and think, maybe there's no difference. I am dust, if you believe it. Did I choke on an excess of words, unable to place on paper, unhomed, unbreathed, unlived? None are exercised. Or did I drown in the puddle of letters that collect behind my uvula when my throat closes? The lack of air is so sweet until the moment you know you will die here. I am exercised. The song ends when I could no longer hop between dimensions. I trip into K-stars, drowned in marshes, get illegally married, learn to play my part in intimate letters, turn green, throw up, drift into the purple multiverse, have sex with you one more time before space, earth, and soul muddle. We are one, and we owe you an apology. We owe you an apology. We owe you an apology. I would never tell her about us, and I do love you.
Tonight. I hope you enjoyed the evening. So thank you, our readers, for your wonderful works of literature. And feel free to hang out more. We have more snacks and drinks outside. And have a lovely Thanksgiving. It's coming. So